as a kid, the teachers in my classes and my parents would oftentimes ask me, "Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And and that's a question that kids get asked all the time. What do I want to be when I grow up? What is it that I want to do with my life? And a lot of times things like a job came to mind. Things like being a firefighter or policeman when I was really young, and later maybe being a lawyer. That was really far fetched, and maybe being a businessman. Later, a music teacher. But when we think about what we're called to do or what we're called to be in this life, a lot of times we name that with a vocation. We talk about a vocation. And vocation is something that's much more than a job. And vocation is usually we talk about a way of life. So I have a vocation to priesthood. A lot of you have a vocation to married life, to be married, to have children, to have a family. Others have a vocation to be a dedicated single person. Or others have a vocation to religious life, to live in community, to serve, and to pray all their lives, to make vows for that. But I would suggest, and actually the church suggests this, that all of us have a deeper vocation than even these ways of life, even these different ways of serving the church. And we all share that same vocation, the vocation to holiness, the vocation, that calling that calls us to be saints. And through the different ways of life, through the different vocational calls in our lives as priest, single person, married, religious, that is how we live out our call to holiness. Today in our first reading from St. Peter, he speaks about girding up the loins of our minds. And when we talk about girding our loins, it means that people would wrap up their garments, their undergarments together so that they'd be ready to run if necessary, to go for a long journey, whatever it took. To be ready ourselves that we might also put our hopes completely on Jesus Christ in all that we do. That in our vocation, that in all that we do in our lives, that we might be holy, that we might strive for holiness. No matter what the signs of the times might give us, whether or not it's time that I start getting my act together or not. We're called today, right here and now, to be holy. As he says, be holy yourselves in every aspect of your conduct. For it is written in the scriptures, be holy because I am holy. The Lord calls each of us to that foundational holiness in our lives. No matter what our vocation is, no matter what our calling is outside of that, be it in the family or even in our jobs, all of it we're called to do with holiness. Let's ask the Lord today to make us holy, that our will might be conformed to his, and that one day we might live as saints with him in heaven.